it's your boy Luke here for our DFS value picks at this week's Honda Classic. In this video, we'll be covering my top 6 plays priced $7,500 and below for Draftkings GPP contest. We're coming in off a pretty solid week. We got 4 of our 6 plays from the Genesis through the cut. Those included guys that finished in the top 10 like a Maverick McNeely, also Mito Pereira, also people like an Aaron Wise and an EVR that made their way through the cut. Our 2 misses were Luke List and also Thomas Peters. So overall, it's not anything that I'm super thrilled about, but 4 of 6, anytime you can get more than half of your guys through the cut, when you're spending down in that lower 7K range, going to at least be something that gives you some positive EV. With that being said, we're on to the Honda Classic, an event that I'm extremely familiar with. I'll be at for all 4 days, and I've been to multiple times in the past, played this golf course as well, so I seem to have a really good read on it. With that being said, let's go ahead and hop right on into it with our value picks for this week. Alright guys, on the screen you can see our projections for this week, and the first value pick we're going to go with will be Brendan Todd at $7,500. He's not somebody I typically love talking about here on the channel, just because the ball striking numbers aren't elite or typically aren't really that positive to begin with, but over this last 24 measured rounds, he's been one of the better players in the field. You can see that reflected with his 22nd rank in terms of recent form. He also comes in as the 6th ranked play on the board in terms of his PGA National fit, which makes him a top 10 model rank, which is of course much better than what we're used to seeing, and a lot of that is fed by these 2 last finishes, a 26th at the WM Phoenix Open, a 16th at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which were much better than what we expected. He's somebody who's typically a little bit better at courses that demand accuracy off the tee, that tend to be a little bit of putting fest, and that was far from the case at the WM, far from the case at Pebble Beach, so to see him having those type of finishes is definitely a feather in his cap. Next up, we talk about course history, which is really non-existent. He has not played at this event before, so we don't really have anything to glean on there, but we know from his skill set, somebody that's got elite accuracy off of the tee, also somebody that can get hot with the irons, hot with the putter, does his best work on Bermuda grass, where he gains 0.77 shots gained putting per round. I think he has a lot going for him. You can see the metrics definitely bear that out as a top 10 course fit rank. We go over to the last 24 measured rounds, some of the shots gained metrics, they're not jumping off the board, right? You can see he's losing off of the tee, which is something that we typically see from Todd just because he is so short. But this week, he'll at least keep himself out of trouble. He's been gaining on approach, which of course is the key to unlocking his top finishes. He's always a gainer around the green and always one of the best putters on the PGA Tour. And now that we're getting into the Florida swing, getting back to Bermuda grass, which is really where he is by far one of the best putters in the world, we could really see him go out there and improve on these last few performances. So that's why I like him there as our first value pick. Next up, we're going to be going with Garrick Higo, who isn't really the same type of play at all. You can see the metrics not nearly as strong for Garrick Higo. He's also not nearly as safe of a play as somebody like a Brendan Todd that I think at the very least goes out there and makes a cut for us this week. Garrick Higo, a lot more volatile by nature, but also somebody that could go out there and win this golf tournament. So if we take a look at the recent form for Higo, we haven't seen him play all that often. In fact, only once over these last 5 events where he posted a 21st place finish at the WM Phoenix Open, but you may remember he was in the top 5 after Saturday. So somebody that was squarely in contention, maybe felt a little bit of those nerves at such a big time event. But this is somebody who, in terms of the metrics, they don't hate him all that much. Right? He's still in the top 100 in terms of a fit at PGA National, 44th in terms of the recent form, but he's somebody who, again, I said that he's volatile by nature, and that's exactly what these metrics show. You can see that he's right around 0 in almost every category. In fact, 0 with the putter, just above 0 around the green. Approach play, same thing with the off the tee play, but from week to week, he'll gain significantly in one category and lose significantly in another. I mean, some weeks this guy is one of the best off the tee players in the world. Sometimes he's one of the worst on approach. He can gain 4 to 5 strokes on approach from time to time. That's what he did at the WM Phoenix Open. And that putter, just as volatile as all the rest part of his game. But the interesting part to see is that in the long run, he's still a gainer across pretty much every category. So this is somebody that when he pieces all 4 of those parts of his game together into the same week, he does what he did at Palmetto. He goes out there and wins at Congaree. So at $7,300, he's one of the few players that I think has winning upside here. Of course, he's long enough off the tee to take advantage of the holes that he needs to. He's been a good putter on Bermuda grass for his career, particularly over on the European Tour side of things. You can see over here still gaining about a quarter of a stroke per round. On the European Tour, that's closer to half a stroke gain per round. Is one of the best Bermuda grass putters that they've had. I like him at $7,300. I think he makes a lot of sense, especially in some of these GBP type of contests where you're looking for that top end upside. Next up, we're going to have Stuart Sink, who, much like Brendan Todd, might be a little bit of a safer value pick. The upside's still there with Sink. We saw him win twice in 2021, so we know he obviously has that in him. If we take a look at the recent form for Sink, it isn't something that's really making him a great play for us. You can see he at least made the cut over there at the WM Phoenix Open. Had a missed cut at Pebble Beach, a few missed cuts during the fall swing as well. But the fact that he at least was able to rebound with a made cut at the WM Phoenix Open, it kind of lets me overlook some of the struggles that he had there in the fall. In terms of course history, this is the main reason we're looking at him. He has elite course history. So first and foremost, he has a 19th place finish last year, a 53rd in 2020, 75th, 44th, and 27th. Just a ton of made cuts. The guy always makes the weekend here at the Honda Classic. And in terms of course fit, the skill set fit, what we know from him historically, it makes a whole lot of sense. He's not only one of the longer players on tour, but he's also extremely accurate off of the tee. He's very solid with the approach play, particularly when he's in that 150 to 175 yard range. At the putter, it might not be the best putter on the PGA Tour, but this is an event where you can win at 6 to 10 under par, so you don't have to be making everything. So I do like him, especially if we take a look at some of the recent metrics. They're not flawless. Again, he missed a bunch of cuts there in the fall, and that's where a lot of these stats are pulling from. So that's why you can see a lot of red across the board there. But the more and more of a sample size that we give a Stuart Sink, the more and more of a leash that we try to give him, the better the numbers start to get, right? He starts to become a positive off the tee. So close to a positive off the tee, a gainer in the approach play. And the more and more that you zoom out, the better and better those stats get. Of course, towards the early part of 2021, included those 2 wins. So he does have a little bit of volatility to his game, like a Garrick Higo, but in terms of the skill set fit, more closer aligned to somebody like a Brendan Todd. I love the course history. If there's going to be a place for him to get right, get back to what we saw towards the beginning parts of 2021, it's here at the Honda Classic, where he's had so much success at over the years. Next up, our next value pick is going to be down here. It's Ryan Armour at $6,600. I considered making him a core pick. You can see all the metrics really look up for him. He's top 50 in the field in recent form, top 20 fit at PGA National, which has him at 19 total for total mono ranking. If we take a look at the course history, he's been pretty solid at this event. First and foremost, let's see, he's down here at $6,600. There he is. He has a 58th place finish last year, so he made the cut. Does have a missed cut there, but a 12th place finish in 2019 and a few other missed cuts. So he's been volatile here, but he's had at least 2 made cuts, and the years prior to that, also a few other made cuts mixed in. But at the same time, a 12th place finish. That's excellent. The recent form of Ryan Armour, we haven't seen him play very often, but the last time he came out here, he made a cut, was able to post a decent finish there. Let's see, it was a 28th finish at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. The shots gained metrics, he also was missing cuts by just on the number. So a lot of his shots gained numbers also look a lot better than some of his peers, particularly for guys that didn't make a ton of cuts in the fall. Is that he's gaining off the tee, he's gaining on approach. Around the green is always something that he's not the best at, but gaining with his putter. And now that we get him back in Florida, we get him back on Bermuda grass, which is by far his best putting surface. You can see he's gaining over a third of a stroke per round on Bermuda. I expect that to only get better. The ball striking has been there. If the putter returns to what we're usually seeing from Ryan Armour, who's not only that, but also one of the most accurate drivers of the golf ball of all of the PGA Tour, he should at the very least make a cut. So somebody just like a Brendan Todd that I think has a very safe floor here. Maybe not the ceiling of a Garrick Higo or Stuart Sink, but if you're looking for a cut maker, somebody, especially for some of these cash contests, could be worth a few looks. Next up, we have Luke Donald down here at $6,400. He's somebody who's a local. He actually lives nearby to the golf course, plays this place all the time. He's played the Honda Classic a ton over the years, hasn't had all that much success, but at the same time, somebody that I'll be going to. If we take a look at the course history, what I was just talking about there with a Luke Donald, you'll see missed cut, but he's also been decent in some years. So much like a Ryan Armour, a little bit volatile, right? He's an 11th place finish in 2020, a 27th in 2017, a few other made cuts towards the beginning of his career as well. And the recent form is really why we're going to Luke Donald. He's not somebody who's done anything flashy. He's not anybody that is going to be popping in your models per se. But look at this, right? Off the tee, we'll give him a little bit of credit, right? You know, he's short at this point in his career. He definitely doesn't get out there like a lot of the other players. So that's why he's going to be a loser, but he's still accurate off of the tee. But he's gaining on approach. He's gaining around the green in the putter. On Bermuda grass for his career, that has been a pretty solid surface for him. I mean, that's really the hole in his game. He's never been one of the best putters on the PGA Tour, but if there's a surface where you can get by, it's been on Bermuda grass. And you've seen over the last 24 measured rounds, him actually almost be a positive in that category. So I like pretty much everything we're seeing from a Luke Donald. He's not somebody who's going to make an elite play by any means, but this is a weak field. He's down here at $6,400. This is going to be almost completely unowned. I have him making the cut 43% of the time, which for guys down here in the 6K range is more than adequate. You can see people like a Tyler Duncan, people down here like a Parbarjan, only able to crack the 45% mark at the very most. So I like his chances to go out there and make a cut this week, potentially even crack the top 15 or top 20, which might be enough for these large field contests. And now finally, Jason Dufner at $6,200. He's way down the board. The models aren't loving him in any category, but he's right around average in every category. 52 in recent form, 54 in PGA National Fit. We take a look at the course history. It is absolutely elite. He has made the cut every single year. This 75th place finish, that was him making the cut and finishing it did last, but 27th, a 17th, a 14th, a 53rd place finish last year when he was playing some of the worst golf that we've ever seen Jason Dufner play. The recent form isn't all that great. He at least has a made cut on the docket there. So if we go down here to a Jason Dufner, you see he has a missed cut, and then a 40th place at the Amex. He's somebody who's not going to be consistent, but over the years, even when he's been playing some bad golf like he has for the last 3 to even 4 or 5 years at this point, he's found a way to get it done at Honda. A lot of that makes sense with the precision that he brings to the table. If you guys saw my core picks, you know that all I'm looking at this week is really precision, guys that are accurate with their approach play, of course, accurate off of the tee. And that's the name of the game for Jason Dufner. He doesn't put himself in many bad situations. He's just one of the worst putters on tour. So if we're going to find a winner from that 6 to 10 under par range, I'm not saying that Jason Dufner is going to win, but for him to stay at 1 to 2 under par for the week, that is more than feasible, and that could very well be a top 5. So I do like him at $6,200. I also think that he'll be relatively unowned, and much like a few of the other people in this range, like a Luke Donald, for example, right around that 43% made cut percentage, which isn't all that bad. I mean, for some of these guys down low, I mean, Wesley Bryan, you can see I have him at a 47%, which is pretty solid as well. The modeling likes him a little bit more. That's really the best that we're going to get. And I still think that he brings a lot of that upside to the table as well. That is all I've got for this week's value picks. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments before you get out of here. But your favorite value, $7,500 and below, is for this week. Of course, we're going to have our fades and sleepers dropping tomorrow morning as per usual. Our regular DFS live stream Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Prize picks content, showdown content to come. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you guys go ahead and do so you don't miss any of that to come. Of course, on Wednesday, we're also going to have a report from the course where I'm walking the course, giving you guys an idea of the exact conditions that we have, whether it's rough length, wind, green speeds, watching a few players hit to see exactly how they're looking, all that sort of fun stuff. We're going to have a ton of extra content for the Honda Classic, of course, because it's our hometown event here. So a little bit of extra access for you guys. So good luck with all of your lineups for this week. Again, let me know down in the comments what your favorite value play is. And I'll see you guys next time for our fades and sleepers.